No, I looked you up and they said you were 49.
Well, you can hear all sorts of stories from the internet. You'll find out I'm not 49. That's funny. 48.
I'll say this, Perry will run circles, and I'm not saying this just to say it. He'll run circles around people that are 49.
In fact, you know, I've got to tell you a funny story too, because I talked to the people in Trump's campaign, and they say that Trump works so hard they can't keep up with him. And he's a couple of years older than I am, and he's saying, man, the man just has incredible energy. It reminds me a little bit of my grandfather. My grandfather worked till the day he died, and he lived to 100. Wow. And the bottom line is, he didn't even die of natural causes. So when I say that, but you have to keep things in perspective sometimes too, because we all have different genes, we have different lifestyles, everybody has, you know, different lives, and we have to recognize what has happened over the years, because we talk about really one of the founders of this party, Abraham Lincoln. And remember now, we went to this thing in, I think it was Jackson, where we were looking under the oak tree, we were talking there, because that's where the Republican Party was founded, and it was founded by a group of outsiders. You know, they were people that were totally different. They were like people like me, weren't part of the establishment, were not part of any of that group. They were, people looked at them and said, you know, we don't want you, because the establishment had become ingrained. And of course, when you're part of the establishment, you have all these favors that you owe people, because over these years, you have this setup. And the setup is really kind of ridiculous sometimes. You think about, what is a politician? Well, they spend their entire life trying to get donations. That's what they do, so that they can run ads. And then when they get elected, their main goal, again, because they have virtually no experience in anything, is to get donations again. And then they get more donations so they can run more commercials to get reelected. And I'm a guy that is a true outsider of outsiders, and I have accepted no donations. We have all these things that go on in the real world. We know that we have these issues where they're trying to build the roads. I think Gretchen ran on Build the Damn Roads, didn't she? Are roads any better, really? But think about it. If you have these PACs that have to, they give you all this money, they look at it as an investment. And that's part of the problem that we have. So I don't know if anybody watched the debates. Did anyone watch the debates here?
Yeah.
But you know, you go to the debates, and remember Roop asked about the data centers, and he specifically asked every candidate, there were 3 of us on the stage at the time, and he asked every single candidate if they were given money from the people building the data centers, or they were given money by the people powering the data centers, would they refund the money? And of course, it was an easy answer for me, since I wouldn't accept any money from anyone. But interestingly enough, John James had been given $106,000 by the people building the data centers, $39,000 by the people powering the data centers, and of course, he ignored that, the answer. When I asked him, he just came up with a race car. So the bottom line is that these politicians are a different breed, and what we're trying to do is to change our government.
Yes.
That endorsed me. He was actually one of the first to come out when they actually got him off the race. And by the way, getting him off the race was totally unfair. I want to make this clear. It happened to me 4 years ago. Anybody remembers?
Yes.
Because it's very important to understand, if the Democrats have any excuse whatsoever, if they can find any way to legally get somebody off the ballot, they're going to get us off the ballot.
That's right.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And they're going to do that no matter what, because they'll pull every string there is. And it's very important that we understand that. So that's what we're up against. And we know that we have to band together, because we probably need a little bit more than just to win.
Yeah.
because you have a little bit going on at times, and we don't want to. We do not want to get headlines on that because we don't win votes. We need the independents to go with us to win the election. It's a fact, because we are a state that has 40% independents. We have been that way for a long time, and if you don't win the independents, either side, Democrats, Republicans, you lose. So we have to win the independents. And we've got a lot of people behind us here. You know, we then had Kevin Rinke campaigning with us. We had Ryan Kelly campaigning with us. You remember Ryan? He actually went to jail.
Yeah.
Okay? So we take a look at, we have Carla. I have Kristen Megan Kelly, who's with the Libertarians. They're behind us because we united the entire conservative group.
That's right.
Now, of course, I don't want you to string me up. I'm probably too conservative for you, but I'm still the guy that is going to be able to change this state. Sometimes it's hard to vote for someone without knowing anything about him, so I'm going to give just brief history. I'm going to give you a 4-minute biography of my life from the time I was very young. So my dad was a pilot in World War II.
Awesome. Mine too.
My mom was a nurse in the Army WACs.
Wow.
Now, they were both engaged to somebody else. But here it's the war, right? And they met at this New Year's Eve party. And it was one heck of a New Year's Eve party. Here I am today. When I say that, from the time I was born, my dad told me that once you are born an American, you've already won the lottery. And I believe that.
That's right.
I grew up in a 600 square foot home. We had 1 bathroom. There were 3 kids. I had 2 siblings. Now, in reality, I probably had as good a childhood as you could possibly have, because if I wanted to play baseball, basketball, football, hockey, it didn't matter what it was, because the houses were right on top of each other, I could get a game together in about 5 minutes. So it was fantastic. And I was a Boy Scout, loved that. Became an Eagle Scout, loved that. But I've got to tell you a very interesting experience. When I was in 2nd grade, I became an altar boy. And my goal in 2nd grade was to be the first American Pope. Instead of becoming me Governor Perry, you'd be calling me Pope Perry. My first teacher was Sister Mary Dolores. I had her when I was just when I started over there in 1st grade, and I had her in 8th grade. And ironically, Pope Leo lived a few blocks from me. Pope Leo also went to St. Mary's. He also had Sister Mary Dolores, and he became our first American Pope.
Yeah.
So think, what are the odds? Never having an American Pope, ever, in the history of all humanity. And it comes out of a school of 200 kids. But you know the great thing about my life then is that I was taught a great moral compass. And having that moral compass is so key. And we're losing that moral compass.
Yes.
And we're losing the moral compass because they start brainwashing our kids at a very early age. And it has to stop.
Yes.
You know, people ask me, I have 3 boys. 2 are 17, 1 is 22. And I want my boys to stay in this state. And when I had the 2 my parent didn't get exposed to this, but the 2 17-year-olds, when they were in 4th grade, they had the teacher come up and said, this is a very important time in your life because you have to decide what sex you are. Now, how stupid can you be? I can tell you one thing. When I went to school, there was no doubt. I knew what sex that was. Nothing to think about. In fact, that's why I never became Pope. So, when we think about this, it's very important that we understand that the moral compass means a lot. What are we talking? You know, you have to reading, writing, arithmetic, history, science. I know I had catechism too, but we need at least you have those basic 5 subjects, and we have to realize that we are proud of our country. You can't have your teachers going out and telling the kids how bad we are. Because it took a lot to get where we're at. We are the most amazing country in the history of the entire world.
Well,
We have what other people would dream to have. And I have been all over the world, and I have offices all over the world, and there is no country like America. Let's take a look at what it starts with. It starts with a dream of freedom. Freedom to do what we want, worship the way we want, think the way we want, speak the way we want, write the way we want. All of those freedoms, freedom of assembly, freedom to, and by the way, freedom to actually own a gun without anybody questioning it. And that's part of the reason the libertarians are behind me. Because I really think freedom is key. It's one of the most important keys to life. You have to have freedom. So that was one of the main reasons I was against the kill switch. You understand that next year, the kill switch is going to be in every single car. That means by law. There's no choice. So now you have a kill switch mandated in every single car where the Chinese and the Russians have AI, and they can just take it over automatically with AI. Every single hospital in the United States has been hacked. Every single large hospital, without exception, has probably been hacked twice. And now we have given control of that. That was why I was so upset about that. And you notice that every single Republican in our state voted against continuing to fund that kill switch. Every single one, with the exception of John James. He's the only one. Now, well, I don't know, but you realize that he ships the stuff from China, you saw that, and maybe the kill switches are coming, and maybe his family goes and buys the kill switches and has them shipped here. Who knows? Maybe it's because he works with one of the congresswomen over there, and they have these bills that they work together on. Who knows what it is? But he's a fairly liberal guy, and he takes that liberal stance. And I think he got a 60 rating in the Heritage. So he's the most liberal congressman we have, and he's just an extreme liberal. So we have two extremes. We have the establishment politician who's extremely liberal, and then of course you have me way at the other end, who is, almost a libertarian conservative, and one guy that has spent his whole life getting people giving him money, and then another guy who won't take any money. So just opposite ends. Now I got a job at Borg Warner when the auto industry was in trouble. I remember when the Japanese had come in with tremendous quality, they were killing us, and they were eating our market share. Well, I was very lucky to get the job. I will tell you that on paper, of all the 200 and some candidates that they had, I was the least qualified guy. Absolutely, without a doubt, because I didn't even meet the minimum requirement. But the president had this idea of a guy that he wanted. And he wanted somebody who was articulate, and he just wanted somebody who was very smart. He wanted a genius. So he went and tested everybody, and then he wanted somebody who could speak, and I couldn't even read a blueprint when I started. But eventually I was in charge of all of Ford, and we supplied about $550 million a year, because Borg was the biggest supplier. And we had this quality issue. And we were throwing this product away when it was at the end of the line, and these inspectors didn't inspect it. And I said, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I thought I knew how to solve it. So what I did was start at the beginning of the process and have them iron out variation. And I introduced statistical process control. And we systematically, with the help of the line personnel, ironed out the variation. And you know what? In 4 or 5 years, we didn't need the inspectors anymore, and we had the best quality in the world. And we were producing the product for 40% less. Then I had an idea. And my wife always is afraid every time I have an idea. So I had an idea, and I said, okay, why not a standard for quality? And I came up with this ISO 9000, the quality standard, wrote a book on it, and it took off like hotcakes. And I've spent my entire life bringing quality and efficiency to companies. That's all I do. I have brought quality and efficiency to the Navy, to DOD, and over 60,000 companies. And I want to take that skill set and bring quality and efficiency to the state of Michigan. Now think about that. We do that, we eliminate the income tax, get $4,747 into everyone's pocket every year. And remember why Carla Wagner's endorsing me? Because my intention is to eliminate that property tax. People 65 and older cannot be in a position that pay this onerous tax. Think about it. You spend your whole life trying to pay off this home. And, you know, most people get a mortgage. It's like my son started this mortgage company, and he's 22, and he says, yeah, Dad, just about everybody gets a mortgage. So you spend all these years, 30 years paying off this mortgage, you finally have it paid off, you're retired, and now you can't even afford to live in the home because the taxes are so onerous. Isn't that unreasonable?
Why do the boomers have to pay for everything? That's what I want to know.
Well, and it's going to get worse. If we don't do something, I'll tell you the way to solve the problem. Elect me governor. Now here's the question that comes up, and I understand why you think that way. But it's very important that we understand how the government works. And I'm going to explain this. You have a group in Congress that appropriates the money. Democrats and Republicans, and they appropriate money, and that is the money that you have to spend. That is called your budget. Now we start out with a budget of $56.5 billion. If we had gone up at the rate of inflation, we'd already be at a point where we could eliminate the income tax for $13.5 billion a year. But we didn't. We have this astronomical budget that's above $80 billion. In fact, our budget has increased stratospherically because we don't pay attention to cost. We do some of the nuttiest things you've ever heard of in your life. And I'm going to start by nutty number one. Okay, nutty number one was when we decided we were going to try to increase the speed of the Amtrak train by 10%. And we spent about $1 billion. And of course, we didn't achieve it. Now I'm going to go to nutty number two. But this objective is what I regard as one of the most foremost objectives that we could possibly have. Because I believe the biggest asset that we have in this state is not the land, it is not what we have in our homes. It is our children. Our children are the biggest and most important asset of the state. We have to also recognize that we have literally 550,000 students within 50-mile Metro Detroit that come to college here, and we lose 40% of them within the first 5 years. I want my kids to stay in this state. I want my grandkids to stay in this state. We do that by having a vibrant economy. We do that by making sense, and we have to have a great school system. So, our goal that she had, which was a goal all of us had, was to try to improve the reading for fourth graders and under. Now, there is not a more worthy objective. So when she said she's going to do this, I lauded it. I said, this is a fantastic objective. This is something that is sorely needed because we're 26th in the country. So she allocated $1 billion every year to that end. In fact, we spent about $8 billion to try to improve the reading of our kids 4th grade and under. We started out 26th in the country, and after $8 billion, we are now 44th. We got worse. And why is that? Because they never bothered to use common sense and analyze the situation ahead of time to find out what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths, what really works and what doesn't work, and they eliminated phonics.
Yeah.
You can't eliminate phonics because the two ways that you learn, what the letters sound like and vocabulary. So what I did, and the program I'm going to recommend and install, we're going to start the kids at 1 and 2 learning phonics. I put all my boys on phonics at the age of 1. I had them listen to the letter factory. Every letter makes a sound. The A says ah, the B says ba. Now I know that every one of you is going to get sick of listening to it. It was ringing in my ears, and I was going to sleep thinking every letter makes a sound. And my wife thought she was going batty. But you know, the kids learn.
Amen.
And they start learning at a very early age. And that's the beauty. Let's start them as early as possible. And we spent all that money and threw it away. Because we never considered you need to have my mega audit, my Michigan Efficiency Government Audit. That's what I do. That's the kind of thing that I do. Now, please, don't ask me to drive that bus, because if you get in that bus with me and I'm driving, we're all dead. So, we have to realize you develop a skill set. For example, if you want to have your mother, or I'm going to have my mother have surgery on her heart, I'm going to go to a heart surgeon. I'm not going to go to an optometrist or a physicist. I don't care how smart they are. You develop a skill set in something that you do. This is a skill set that I have. I've developed this skill set over many, many years. And that's the way that you lean the government. But now I'm going to give you one of the most absurd programs maybe in the history of our entire state. We have programs where we say, okay, we're going to try to create jobs. Now, I know the way to create jobs is to create an atmosphere where you want businesses to come here, and you have businesses thriving, and you have people wanting to come here because they get to keep their money. I know that's what it is, but they don't think that. They said, we're going to allocate $1.8 billion to try to create jobs. But, okay, she said, before we're going to do that, why don't we do a study? And they said, well, wait a minute. Let's do a study on how effective our studies are. And they did. And they said at the end of this, they're going to create 25,752 jobs. That's not 53, but exactly 25,752. They came up with that exact number. So after $1.8 billion, they actually created 602 jobs. That's it. In fact, I'm going to show you. John James got $2 million because he was in that program. He said he was going to create 106. Not only did he not create any jobs, he actually laid off 32 people. But they never give any money back. So when you have a government that is so inefficient, you ask yourself, can we allow this to continue when we have to decide whether we can put gas in the car, buy food, or buy books? And we have the government throwing our money away. You can't have it. It has to change. And by golly, we can make it happen. It's about time that we have an outsider who's not beholden to anyone, who spent his entire life doing one thing, bringing quality and efficiency to companies and organizations, and have this guy take charge so we can actually do something and ignite our state. I want you to understand that if we reduce the budget, I can, with the stroke of the pen, eliminate or reduce any of 3 taxes: the sales tax, gas tax, or income tax. I don't need the Congress.
You go.
At all.
Line item veto.
I could just literally, I just literally, with the stroke of a pen, can eliminate any of these taxes by law. So all I need is to go in there and find efficiency, and we'll make it happen. But it's up to you to talk to your friends, get your friends to support, get your friends to vote, and the plan is to try to get 10 people to think like you and vote. And if you don't have, I have some people say, I don't have 10 friends. Well, I had one guy who said, I have 2 friends. If you have 2 friends, go ahead. Talk to the 2.
The Pope's from Chicago. Did you go to?
He's from Dalton, Illinois, and he lived in Dalton. He lived 3 blocks from me.
Oh, you're from Illinois.
I'm from Dalton, Illinois, correct.
You go to a university.
I've been here, though, since the 70s.
Went to University of Chicago, right?
No, I didn't. I went to University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana.
Oh.
And
MBA?
bottom line is, we have a mission. The mission is to make this state the greatest state in the union again, and we're going to do it when you elect the Republicans to the House, to the Senate, and by the way, you're going to elect me governor.
All right. It is hot in here, so I was trying to steal the mic from Perry because I feel bad for all you guys back there, and I want you guys to be able to sit down. I say we take this party outside. You guys agree? All right. Let's move to the bus. I would love if we could do a group photo because I can't believe how many people are here. It's amazing. If you guys would do me a favor and get out of this hot room, go outside to the bus. We're going to do a big group photo. We'll have more drinks and pizza out there, okay?